Throughout history, we, as humans, have used the power of our minds to achieve incredible and amazing feats. In reality, our minds are simply tools we use to create our thoughts. And the quality of our thoughts determines the quality of our experiences. A simple shift in perception will quickly and easily improve how you feel and what you believe is possible, helping you to achieve all of your personal goals, even those that previously seemed unattainable. Join us now as we explore the vast landscapes of our minds. This is Mind Over Matter.
Good evening, I'm Mitch Friedman.
And I'm Brandelyn Jokiel, and you're watching Mind Over Matter TV, where we teach you how to feel better, overcome obstacles, and successfully reach your goals through various tips, texts, and techniques. TTT, something like that. I'm a little discombobulated, Mitch. I just got back from the other side of the country.
That's right, Washington, D.C.,
Oh.
where it was stormy and cold and
really cold and more snow than I've ever seen. It was really cool to be there after that major snowstorm that they just had. Mitch, I went down to the mall and they didn't have the sidewalks cleared or the paths cleared, and anybody who was out there was a brave, brave soul because it was icy and there were snowbanks. Sometimes you had to kind of walk over to get to the next part.
We used to call them berms, those
Berms,
snowbanks.
yeah.
Berms, yeah.
And I was going in sometimes up past my knee, just like whoop. And here's a really, really cool thing, Mitch. I am so excited about this. I was in DC and I got to walk on water.
Whoa! tell us about that.
So there's the Washington Monument, and then on the other end is the Lincoln Memorial, and in between is that beautiful reflecting pool where Jenny, I think, jumps into it on Forrest Gump.
Oh, that's right.
Forrest, Jenny! And so there's that beautiful big pool. It was completely frozen over. It was so cool. I got down there and I walked from the whole length of the thing, well, kind of half slid, prayed that I wouldn't fall down.
Fall in.
I see. Well, yeah, there was no holes and there was people all over the place. There were deeper footprints, I think heavier people. Like there was parts that were a little slushy and you could see the footprint went in a little bit further. I'm like, I'm staying away from there. But it was so cool, magical, majestic, really neat. Everybody was in fantastic spirits. Winds whipping, cold and crazy, but everybody was just like, it's an adventure, and it was. It was a really cool thing to experience. So.
And they're more used to that cold, nasty winter, you know. The snow is kind of new to them, I think, that much snow, but I think the cold they're pretty used to on the East Coast, you know. You
know what I found really interesting is when I came back here and being in Santa Fe, I noticed that for the really first time, I noticed that the air is thinner, and therefore it actually feels colder to me here. Really weird. I was walking that 10-15 minute hike from the car to the store, and I was like, brr! Like, okay, this doesn't make any sense. I was just in all this weird snow and things and doing this walk. So, I don't know, probably psychological because I was coming to work. But
so walking on water, so reading all these books actually has paid off for you, hasn't it?
Especially when the weather freezes over, it makes it that much easier. And I still stayed away from the slushy parts because I wasn't too sure of my abilities. Didn't want to be on NBC Nightly News.
Yeah, right. It's one of those
chick who plunged into the reflecting
saving
pool.
That blonde lady, that New Mexican lady, pulling her out of the lake.
Yeah. So anyhow, enough of my wintertime adventures in our great capital. You did a fantastic interview with singer-songwriter JUDY QUAY.
That's right. Yeah, it was really fun. We met her again. We met her in the store, which was really fun. And, as soon as people come in the store and they're interesting, I'm like dragging them to the studio for an interview. And it was really interesting. It was a great interview. There was lots of stuff we talked about. And then she got to sing a song at the end that she also wrote.
And you edited beautifully. I just watched it. I had to have tissue in my hand. Very inspirational. Beautiful song, beautiful music, singing, beautiful editing. So, before we get to that, just want to tell our viewers, thank you so much for watching us. We're going to go into that interview in just a moment. If you have any questions for us, hey, come on over to Santa Fe. Come down to the Historic Plaza. We're in the Santa Fe Arcade, Mind Over Matter Bookstore, and more. Come and talk to us. We want to talk to you about all the wonderful and interesting ways to heal your life, feel better, get where you want to go. Or you can send us an email at itsyourmindthatmatters.com. Our phone numbers are on there too, Mitch.
That's right.
Guess what, folks? We're accessible. You might see us on the talking box there, but we exist in real life, and we'd love to meet you.
And you know what's been fun about having this store is, and the train has been great too, because on the weekends a lot of Albuquerque people have been coming up on the train and hanging out. Yeah, we've been meeting some people who've been watching this show. So just like Brandy said, come on down, we would love to meet you. And now let's just get to the interview.
Right on.
Good evening and welcome to Mind Over Matter TV. We're here tonight to talk to Judy Quay, who is a higher self communication counselor. Boy, that's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful.
Yeah,
I know.
It sounds pretty exciting.
Sorry.
And yeah, before we get into the higher self communication, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you started as a singer-songwriter, is that right?
I was, yeah, singer-songwriter. I started out in Washington, D.C., and then I had somebody that came in and sort of like discovered me, and I went to New York and had a wonderful ride in New York as a singer-songwriter, working with a lot of leading songwriters out there and recording and doing demos and performance and getting published. And then had a hit song with Air Supply, which I co-wrote with Gary Portnoy and Jeannie Napoli, and then went to Los Angeles and went at it again as a performer and singer-songwriter, and
where else but LA for music
along my way. Yeah, exactly. So and it was an interesting ride. It makes you who you are, but you know, I've always been a spiritual being, and it just sort of pointed the way to me that there was a stronger, more important road for me to walk, where I would connect more spiritually and help people. And I think that's really what I'm here to do, is to help people heal from a musical, spiritual level.
And it's time for that sound healing. I know years and years ago I used to read about Edgar Cayce, and he always used to talk about healing in the future was going to be through vibration and through sounds.
Yes.
So it's great to hear you talk about that.
You know what's crazy, Mitch, is that I remember back in New York, I had a woman that came up to me one time. She was a healer, and she was a psychic. And she started spitting out all this stuff at me and telling me I was going to be a healer. And I went, no, you have it all wrong. No, I'm in the music industry. That can't, no. She said, you don't understand. You're going to heal through the music. And I went, oh. And I couldn't quite figure out what that was. And then I just went along, and the stuff that was coming out just had this other thing about it. And it felt very spiritual. And I went, okay, whatever you want to do with me, just bring it through. I mean, I want to be able to help people get to that other place where they have peace and comfort and maybe see things a little differently. So through the music, it started to flow that way. So now I'm here.
And talking about seeing things a little differently, tell us a little bit about what is higher self-communication?
It is learning to distinguish between the ego mind versus the higher mind, which is the mind that connects us all with the Creator, with divine source, God. I know some people have a problem with that, but it is what connects us all to that being that we really are, that we are authentically when we come into this life. But that ego mind helps us to forget. And so I'm here to help you get back to that and to learn how to hear that voice, that still small voice that guides your steps every day.
You know, I love how you talk about that, because in hypnosis we call it superconsciousness. You know, there's the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, and we eliminate everything, every thought, idea, and image that we have of ourselves, all those limited thoughts, so that we can have more communication with that superconscious, that higher self, God, however people. And like you said, it's all the same. It's just language. So.
Yes, and it gets you there in the end. You get there no matter what. We're all spirit. We get there in the end.